guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I am bringing you along on our 7-day itinerary around Japan. Now the good news about Japan is that there is so much to see, but the bad news is that you can't see it all in one trip. So we'll do our best to see as much as we can in this 7-day itinerary. Japan is a country that is best experienced at a slow pace, but you should not be rushed running through here. We do know that most people only get so much time off from work, so enjoy this itinerary. We're going to give you a good taste of this wonderful country and everything it has to offer. It does have something for everyone. You're likely going to fly into Tokyo to either Narita or Haneda airports. Narita is a bit farther from the city and Haneda is a little bit closer, but either way you can grab a taxi right outside the airport, or you can easily ride the train into the city. It just depends on where you're staying. This time around, we arrive at Narita late at night, so we decide to take a taxi to the hotel. Now, the sun rises very early in Japan. That's why it is called the land of the rising sun. We highly recommend going to bed early on your first day so that you can really hit the ground running on your first full day in Japan. So we'll start our adventure right here in Tokyo. Our hotel is close to Akihabara, so we decide to walk over and see what it's all about. Akihabara is actually best seen at night, but we kind of want to get a little lay of the land before we come back to see it later after dark. So we stop off for a proper breakfast at Egg Baby for some delicious breakfast sandwiches. This cafe sits under the metro tracks and is such a fun environment to sit and enjoy our breakfast. We spot locals sitting in here enjoying coffee and getting some work done. And once our bellies are full, we decide to take a ride on the metro over to Shibuya and Shinjuku to explore. Shibuya is famous for shopping and its pedestrian scramble known as Shibuya Scramble. It is the busiest in the world. It's filled with energy and excitement as both locals and visitors wait for the signal that it is safe to cross. Once the light changes, the cars stop moving and the people take over. Nearly 2,500 humans cross the scramble at any given time from every direction. We thought it would be fun to cross from various corners. Now, once we are done in Shibuya, we head over to Shinjuku, but first, we need a little something for our tummies. So we stop off in Keika Ramen for some delicious gyozas, fried rice, and ramen, of course. There are so many places, choices of places to eat, but we picked this one just one time and loved it so much. Every time we want ramen, we try to come back to the same spot. We walked from Shibuya to Shinjuku. We stopped on the way to see the famous 3D billboard as we stroll through Omoide Yokocho, known as a Memory Lane. This post-war eating alley is a tight scrum of 60 plus bars and restaurants. As you make your way down the alley, your senses are overwhelmed as you take in the beauty, the crunch of all the people trying to take pictures down the alley. The air is filled with smoke from the yakitori being grilled. And if you are brave, you can always stop into one of the many bars and restaurants to take a bite to eat or grab a drink and sit and people watch. The shops in Omoide Yokocho are very tiny, like much smaller than the regular restaurants and bars in the rest of Japan. So keep that in mind. But it is definitely worth a walk or two down this lovely lane. After Omoide Yokocho, we arrive in Shinjuku. Shinjuku is the entertainment district with many restaurants, pubs, and entertainment cafes. You will definitely not be bored in Shinjuku. It's a very fun and vibrant area to explore both in the daylight and even more enticing at night. This is the place to go when you want to be seen and you want to see all of the incredible kawaii outfits. There is so much to be explored in Shinjuku. You can walk this area for hours. Be sure to stop in to see Godzilla on Godzilla Street, and if you are there at night, you can even see him growl and breathe out smoke on a display that they do on an hourly basis in the evenings. From Shinjuku, we are now tired, so we decided to skip going back to Harajuku for the night scene. Instead, we stop off at a local ramen shop for more food. This place felt so authentic, no English. It was full of men who stop off for a bowl of ramen on their way home from work, and after seeing us struggle, one of those patrons showed us how to switch the ordering screen from Japanese to English so that we could order some food. The people of Japan are always so friendly and so helpful. If you look like you're struggling with something, they usually step in to help you out. So at this point, our feet are tired, our bellies are full, and we are definitely ready for bed. The next day, we dedicate to going to Tokyo Disneyland. We purchased our tickets on Klook instead of purchasing directly from the Tokyo Disney online ticket system. We found it very challenging as sometimes they don't accept foreign cards. We tried several different cards and just couldn't make it work. So we went ahead and ordered our tickets through Klook. And they are the same price. The only difference is you can order different types of tickets through the Tokyo Disney ticketing system online as opposed to Klook, but you could still get a full day's pass. So we went ahead and bought a full day pass from Klook. We took the metro to the Tokyo Disneyland Park. It was so much fun, and as expected from Disney, everyone's so helpful and so happy. You walk into the park and it feels exactly like a Disney park. It's so much fun, a great feeling walking in here and getting to explore Tokyo Disney. This time around, we did not go to Disney Sea. We'll be putting that on the list for our next return to Tokyo. Now, after a wonderful day of rides and food and parades at Tokyo Disney, we head back to our hotel again for some rest before we're heading over to Osaka. So the next day, we take a Shinkansen bullet train to Osaka. We bought our tickets for this Shinkansen on Smart EX app. It's easy to use, and you don't have to convert your ticket at the station. You simply scan the app, and it will dispense the ticket at the turnstile once you arrive at the station. As train lovers, a ride on a bullet train is a must-do experience when you are in Japan. We booked our seats in the green car, and we are sure to reserve seats with luggage storage to avoid any problems as we are traveling with our bags. It is a quiet and very peaceful experience on this train ride through the Japanese countryside. The trains in Japan are so efficient and so lovely. It's such a joy to ride in that peace and quiet on the train, and you can just take in the scenery. We arrived in Osaka, and we head over to our hotel, which is very close to Universal Studios. We had bought day-and-a-half tickets ahead of time, again, off of Klook, and we want to have a chance to get into Super Nintendo World, which is our number one place to visit in Universal Studios. So we go over for the afternoon and have some fun and prepare to show up early the next day in order to try to get into Super Nintendo World. So the published time is not the actual time that they open. They actually open the park at least an hour before the published opening time. So make sure you get there early if you want to get in early and head over and get access to Super Nintendo World. If you get there right when the doors open, you can usually head straight to Super Nintendo World and get right in, or hop on the app, and the minute you walk through the doors, you can try to book a time, and you should be able to get in for that day if you do it as soon as you walk in. We were also able to book a lunchtime at Canopio's Cafe, which is Toad's Cafe. He's known as Canopio in Japan. We had the very best time at Universal Studios, especially at Super Nintendo World. So after back-to-back visits to theme parks, we're ready for a change of pace, and we head to explore the temples and shrines in the city. In the evening, we're ready for the crowds again, and we head over to Dotonbori. We had a great time with everything that's there is to offer here, there's so much to take in. Again, so many senses are engaged in this Dotonbori area. It's super busy. It feels very fast paced. There's so many different things to see. And of course, the food is the highlight of this area. So just pick out a place and just start eating your way down the street. Next, we take a day trip from Osaka over to Kyoto and Nara. We're going to start in Nara at Todaji Temple in Nara. Todaji Temple is one of Japan's most famous and historically significant temples and is also a landmark of Nara. It houses the great Buddha of Nara. You can also try your hand at earning good luck for the whole year by trying to wiggle your way through the small hole in one of the pillars inside the temple. From Todaji Temple, it's a very short walk to the home of the famous bowing deer of Nara Deer Park. The deer freely roam the park and the surrounding area. You can easily purchase crackers to feed them, and they will bow their heads to you before you give them a cracker. It's a pretty fun and easy experience. The crackers are just a couple of US dollars to purchase. Just make sure that you hide the bag of the crackers and only take out one at a time, or they will try to take them all off of you at once. They can get a little bit greedy. Later that day, we do head over to Kyoto and visiting Arashiyama Bamboo Forest. Even with all of the visitors in such a beautiful and peaceful place, we pop into a shrine there while exploring the forest before grabbing a snack by the river. Next on the list is Kinakuji, the Golden Temple. We stopped here for just a few minutes because it did start to rain pretty heavily when we stopped to visit this temple, but it is definitely worth a moment to stop and admire this beautiful golden temple. The icing on the cake of our day trip to Kyoto and Nara is the famous Fushimi Inari Shrine. This shrine is probably one of the most visited in Japan. The constant line of torii gates is both mesmerizing and enchanting. This shrine is usually filled wall to wall with people, but as you can see, it's nearly empty because we visited at dinner time and it had just finished raining, so I think it scared away quite a few of the visitors. It was so nice to walk through the hundreds of torii gates in peace and quiet. Definitely the highlight of our day trip. One of the great things about staying in Osaka is that it's a great place to base for day trips in the Kansai region. We had one more day trip before we head back to Tokyo. We highly recommend a visit to Hiroshima. We had a special treat on our ride to Hiroshima. We booked the Hello Kitty Shinkansen, and it did not disappoint. If you are a Hello Kitty fan like me, you must try out this fun ride. After our lovely ride on the Hello Kitty Shinkansen down to Hiroshima, we had a very nice day exploring the area, learning all about the history and the rebuild in the aftermath of the events that took place there. Many years ago. They present the information in such a way that truly shows their intent on peace. It's sobering, and it will leave you with many thoughts and questions as you leave this area. So we're back in Osaka, and from there we are taking the bullet train Shinkansen back to Tokyo for a little bit more fun before we head home. So of course, we want to head out to Akihabara, check that out at night. And one of the cool things about it is the arcades. We absolutely love the arcades in Akihabara. We popped into one that we read had some retro video games. So we had a great time trying to win some prizes and also playing some of our very favorite retro video games. There is so much to do in Japan. 1 week is a short trip. So what we highly recommend is a minimum of 10 days, really, so that you can add in a little bit more breathing room to your schedule. You don't feel like you have to have everything back to back. You can build in a little bit more space in your days. We've already planned our return trip for Sakura season, so be sure to subscribe to the channel to see our videos coming very soon on this adventure. There's so much more about our trips here in Japan on the channel, so make sure you check those out. Browse the videos in our library here. I really hope that you enjoyed coming along on this one-week itinerary in the land of the rising sun.